Welcome to Social Sciences class, all my dear young minds. Unit number 19, post-war world we are in. Today, we are going to come across Indo-Sino relations. Indo-Sino, Sino means China. Got it? Sino-Japanese, China and Japanese. Got it? So Indo-Sino relations are the relations that we are carrying with China, and of course this is the right time to learn something what's happening with India and China, what historical background is there, right? China became a republic on 1st October 1949 as a result of a communist revolution under the able leadership of Mao Zedong. Got it? They were successful in throwing down the monarchy totally, and it became a republic. What is a republic? A country which will be having an elected head, either maybe directly or indirectly. It should be elected. That country is called a republic. India is a republic. Got it? And where there won't be any king or emperor or empress as head of the state. Elected head is there. That country is called a republic, right? People will be electing directly or indirectly the head of the state. It will be not monarchy, like Britain. Britain is having monarchy, constitutional monarchy, that is. But even the emperor will function according to the constitution of Britain, right? So here we have to know something about the history, what happened between India and China. Once China became a republic, the Western world countries did not recognize that government that came to power in China. The communist government was not recognized, but India was one such country who recognized the communist government that came to power in China. One of the earliest countries India was. Means it gave a helping hand. It tried to carry good relations with the neighboring country, because our neighbor is one of the largest country. Almost the largest country we can say after Russia in Asia. It will be lying in the west of India. Sorry, east of India. India will be lying in the west of China. So like this it will be lying, and we have shared boundary. Actually, boundary line was drawn by British, but McMahon line. What is that boundary line that divides India and China is called McMahon line. McMahon line. This is what now bone of contention between India and China. What India says, we have to honor this line drawn by the British. Then China says, no, how we will be honoring this? And we will have many more areas belonging to India as a part of China, was the argument of China. But before going to that, let's know what happened. That is, a borderline was drawn between India and China by Britishers during the time of Britishers. Why China was silent at the time means it's not that powerful militarily. But it had most of the area in China was under the influence of Britain. That's why there is no strong rulers over there. That's why it did not speak at the time anything. Once it became a republic, a communist government came with military power. And that government was not recognized by Western part of the world. Capitalist countries, America, Britain, France, no one recognized the government, and they did not try to carry any diplomatic relations with the Chinese government. But one such country along with Russia, which recognized the communist government that came to power with the military, with the revolution in China, was India. And also India was the strong supporter of China in retaining its permanent membership in Security Council. See, this is what already I said when I was explaining about Security Council permanent members. We wholeheartedly gave support to China to be permanent member in Security Council. To make a balance between the capitalistic forces and the communist forces, China should be there was our wish. And we supported very openly. But what is the reason is actually China was having that permanent berth before communist revolution itself, when Chiang Kai-shek was ruling that particular country. But who is Chiang Kai-shek and who is Mao Zedong, these all things will be coming across in chapter number 2 if it is there in the syllabus. Probably it may not be this year, right? Okay, ma. So, in this way, India was very fair from the beginning to have friendly relations with China. But what happened is, there is a place which is seen as a buffer zone between India and China called Tibet. Tibet. It is the homeland of Buddhists. Many Buddhists live here. But Tibet is the roof of the world, it is called. What is the epithet? Roof of the world. Planet roof of the world over the roof of the world. One of the largest planets. So it is acting as a buffer zone between China and India. Got it? What is buffer zone? Already I explained you. Some space meant for future military actions or economic activities, or to protect their industrial zones, or to maintain some isolated prisons where they can keep prisoners of war, POW, prisoners of prisoners of war, where they can make them prisoners of war. Again, we will come across this, some other part of the syllabus, prisoners of war. Remember, POW, prisoners of war. Again, we will come across this particular POW, some other part of the syllabus, the same history, right? So, buffer zone. Tibet was seen as buffer zone between China, according to this McCall line, Tibet was seen as a buffer zone between China and India. But China, in the pretext that it was once upon a time, it is a supporting state or dependent state in Chinese Empire. With that pretext, with that cause, it attacked Tibet and occupied it. And this was much to the dislike of Buddhists living over there. Buddhists fought against the Chinese army tooth and nail. But of course, they are peace-loving people. They don't have that war equipment what the PLA, People's Liberation Army of China, have. PLA, People's Liberation Army, which is creating a havoc or a menace in our boundaries today, right? For past 3 months. Got it? So PLA, People's Liberation Army, have advanced warfare, and also they were successful in revolution and so on. So that's why these fellows, they made an attack against Tibet and they occupied, so making it out that it is a dependent state of China. In 1950s, they were attacked and occupied this. And when they attacked and occupied, the Buddhists over there, they fought against this Chinese soldiers tooth and nail, but as Chinese soldiers are having water warfare and so on, Buddhists, they are peace-loving people. By seeing them monks, Buddhist monks, by seeing them itself, we can know that they are not that war-loving people. Got it? So automatically, what happened? They were forced to get a setback, and ultimately unable to stay in Tibet. Many people got scattered around the world. In that, the people who got scattered around the world, they took refuge. Refuge, what is it in the textbook? Shelter. Refuge means shelter. Refugee, a fellow who seeks a shelter is called refugee. Refuge. Asylum, another word is also there. Refuge, asylum. Both are same. Take it. This is shelter. Somewhere shelter. Okay. So, shelter. Refugee. 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 A fellow, a person who seeks a shelter. A person who seeks a shelter. Seeks a shelter. Right. A person who seeks a shelter is called refugee, and shelter, the place which gives a shelter is called refuge or asylum. Right. So, what happened that Buddhist Guru, came running to India, and India, when someone comes and asks for help, sir, I want to be in your country, it can't deny. And more, we have Buddhism took its birth in India. But of course, Buddha may be from Nepal, but it took its birth in our Gaya in Bihar. So we are having that ethnic bonding for years together, centuries together. That's why we accepted, India accepted him and gave shelter to Mr. Dalai Lama, the head of Buddhist religion. Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama. Got it? So, when India gave shelter to them, that was seen as a crime by China. Got it? And China, made a friendly agreement also, which is called Panchashil. Panchashil. It had made an agreement related to foreign affairs, foreign policy with India on 29 April 1954. On 29 April 1954, China signed Panchashil with India. The first Premier of India, first Premier of China. Premier means Prime Minister. First Premier of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, and first Premier of China, Zhou Enlai, signed on this agreement called Panchashil. 5 principles related to the foreign policy were made in India. What are those principles? In 17th chapter will be coming across. Then I will explain. So remember this Panchashil word. Till this chapter is related. Panchashil on 29, on what date? On 29 April 1954, Panchashil got signed between India and China. The signatories are the premiers or prime ministers of both the nations, China and India. That is Zhou Enlai. Zhou Enlai. Zhou Enlai of China and Zhou Enlai of China. Jawaharlal Nehru. They both signed a Panchashil treaty also, and once India, France, Jawaharlal Nehru visited China, and Zhou Enlai came to India. This all happened, but it was like a jackal or a fox. China was. It was making its own evil plans against India, but it was inoperant. It is behaving like it's a friend. Internally, it is feeling that this country is an adversary. Adversary means who is trying to cause some bad to China. We have to treat them a lesson, give them a lesson. It was waiting for opportune time. Got it? And in 1962, when India was not alert, and it is said popularly that at the time India did not use its aeroplanes, thinking that our air force was not used in the war. Thinking that China was having more advanced air force. China was having more advanced air force, but that they were not functioning at the time. If India might have attacked with the air force, that might have been different story, historians say. But India thought that it's having more advanced and it will be causing a huge loss to the people of India. If an attack is made by China at Aksai Chin near Ladakh, which is under control of China even today, almost 42,000 square miles of land, under 6 to 42,000 square miles of land was occupied by China in that war, which occurred on 22nd October 1962. 22nd October 1962. Actually, what happened on 21st night, they tried to cross the LOC, that is the McMahon line, and they tried to come into our domain. And there, actually, at the time, patrolling was done by some CRPF Jawans, police, Central Reserve Police Force. And that army came in a big number, and our people are suffering a very tens of our CRPF personnel were there, patrolling the boundary. And there was a huge fight between our CRPF personnel and the Chinese army. And this finally, our personnel, CRPF personnel did not have much arms and ammunition with them, and they got injured to the death. So 10 of the CRPF Germans were killed by the Chinese army on 21st October 1962. 1962. That's why this particular day, 21st October, is celebrated as Police Commemoration Day. This month, 21st October will be celebrated as Police Commemoration Day. That is martyrs. Martyrs means a fellow who loses his life for the sake of motherland, and police personnel who loses their life for the sake of motherland, fighting against the anti-social elements. Those martyred police will be memorized, or tributes will be paid to that martyred police by the government authorities and police authorities on the day, on 21st October 19, every year. Police Commemoration Day, Martyrs Commemoration Day will be observed in our country. Why? Because this is because of this India ticket act made by this China, right? 22nd October 1962, they made it enter into India because they killed several Jawans, and they made their entry into Russian into India. This after that they are occupied in this struggle. As we are not alert, our forces got defeated. Taking advantage of that, they crossed McMahon Lane, and almost they occupied up to what we can call up to our Arunachal Pradesh. And they were saying that this all belongs to us, but finally UN were involved, and other parties, other governments involved, and with that they took back to certain extent. But till 2008, they were staking that Arunachal Pradesh is an integral part of them, and even Ladakh, eastern part of Ladakh is an integral part of them. Sikkim is also the integral part. They started showing these areas in their map up to 2008. After India rose the civil objections, Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, and then only they took back they again remapped their country shape and this one. Got it? So actually, once the 1962 war, actually unilaterally, China itself declared, "I'm going away from the war field," and went back. And whatever the occupied places is, leaving that certain area, it went. And later on, what happened, because of the international negotiations, they got drawn LAC, Line of Actual Control, between India and China, and both parties were made to agree. India and China were made to agree that they should not cross this LAC. Our occupied part also there after this LAC. But India don't want to go for much headache and menace, because economic conditions, we are in a growing stage. But our economy is making its early footsteps. So we don't want to disturb ourselves. That's why, being a peace-loving country, we kept we accepted for this LAC. Now, what is the ongoing program is, if you want to cross this LAC and you want to come up to Ladakh, East Ladakh, you want to occupy. Already in Pak-occupied Jammu Kashmir, some part of Pakistan gave away to China, and it made a route also. Sino-Pak route, it made, trade route it made. But it a road also it made over Ladakh, from over the head of Jammu Kashmir to Pakistan. Because some part of Jammu Kashmir was given away to Pakistan to China. Now it made a road, and now it want to occupy even East Ladakh, our eastern Ladakh, eastern area of our Ladakh. What actually we see India like this Canada. Actually, this part is with Pakistan. It is called POK, Pak-occupied Kashmir, but we don't accept it. We say that it is our part only. This is our part only. That's why we show this as like this. India on the head of India we show like this, but actually it is POK, right? So Pak-occupied Kashmir. To Pak-occupied Kashmir it made a very hard, but now it want to occupy in Ladakh and put an end to India's control on total Jammu and Kashmir. Total Jammu and Kashmir, you want to take away by occupying our East Ladakh and so on. Got it? So this is the evil plan of China right now. But already it occupied some 36 square miles to 42 square miles there to the northeast of India, belonging to our domain only. So this way, the relations after 1962 war got worsened between India and China. Up to the time 1976, till that fellow died, the Mao Zedong died. Till Mao Zedong died, there were no positive relations between India and China. India was very upset with the behavior of China. And after the death of that fellow slowly they started carrying some diplomatic relations, and both countries started progressing in many areas, and we will have many imports from China, and China will have many imports from India, and many Chinese products come to India, and a few of the Indian products goes into China. In this way, mutual business activities there both turned emerging economic powers in the world after USA and some few Japan and a few European countries, Western European countries. But suddenly, this fellow from 2015, 2017 onwards started showing his blackness to India. And now, at the border situation, you all know, I think, how tense it is. Got it? It's all because of the expansive thinking of thought of expansion of their domain by China. Got it? As its population is increasing, it want more land to be under their control for their economic benefits, and also to put a check to a growing economy of India. Got it? And at this same time, certain political leaders whose statements are very aggressive and make people of India to feel happy that India is very supreme, they are also cause for the trouble that is that India is facing today. But that's why it should be under control. The things we do should be under control. Then only things happens. Right? Who is that? What is that? That's a different story. This is the thing going on within China and India, and we also deployed huge army. Got it? And we got that hills, peaks near that LAC under our control. Got it? And we are throwing equal challenge to China. Got it? And hope China, this problem between India and China will end in peace. Because war worsens life. Many of you think that we have to go for a war and we have to win and all. See, our economy, our Chinese world economy itself is not that good. And already pandemic is doing its worst, it's showing its worst face to all of us. We all are sufferers. But in one or other way, because of some people lost their life, some people are suffering in the hospitals, some families lost their head of the family, and crores of people lost their jobs because of this pandemic and so on. So, economic activity or GDPs are in doldrums, not only of India, many countries in the world. This adverse impact is there. Of course, India was not doing that well before pandemic also, but now condition got worse. Got it? So in last quarter, that is from April to June, April, May, June, first quarter of our GDP was a mal or bad aspect, minus 23.9% or something around like that. We never witnessed that. Somewhere, even when we got freedom or something like at the time also, it is not like that. I think if I'm not wrong, right? This is between India and China. Now we'll go to Indo-Ceylon relations. Indo-Ceylon means Sri Lanka. Indo-Ceylon relations. Indo-Ceylon relations. And my dear children, whatever the cost it may be, politically we may differ, but when these situations come, when our country's existence itself in danger, or integrity is in danger, or unity or survival is in danger, all should be stand together, and we have to give full support to our Indian Army. We have to enhance their morale, because those younger ones and many middle-aged, they are carrying their services, very valuable service system in India. Because of that only, you are able to enjoy your IPL. Someone is able to enjoy their Kartik Deepam and carrying on our happy activity. But it is at the cost of their tomorrow. Don't forget, they are losing their tomorrow for your today. Means they are even getting killed here and now. Then we saw Santosh, one of the army officers, got killed in the scuffle that took place between our forces and the other forces at Galwan Valley. Got it? In the recent past 3 months back, very panicked. The family lost their young kids, lost their father. Got it? So that stories we read and we show much pity to that, and we say India is then even it may be case with us when a war occurs. Some family may lose their family head, some children may be, because missiles they don't know where they will be hitting, and they don't have any human emotions. Once it's switched on, that's all missile comes and attacks. Even from India, being we operate, this same happens at Jiangri or Shanghai or somewhere, right? But ultimately what happens, both parties will be under loss only. Both the countries will be under loss only, economically, and human cost will be there. So that's why better to refrain, to stop at one point both of the nations. Right? Our government is trying for more peaceful talks. Strong patience is shown by the government. Okay, it's not aggressive. And their citizens are also, they have to think about it. Okay, peace will be possible and people come to the same understanding. If one is getting different, surely that will be bringing troubles, right? And they even, they say that why the scuffle between Indian army and the Chinese army occurred? There some Chinese soldiers also got died in that scuffle because they got crossed our borders and they they were trying to make their camps in our domain. That's why our army protested and they sent them back. So now we go with the Indo-Ceylon nations. Indo-Ceylon means Indo-Ceylon. Indo-Ceylon means Ceylon is nothing but Sri Lanka. Got it? Once the British, when it was British colony, it's called Ceylon. Got it? And we have both cultural, ethnic means what we can call a group of people living in the same domain. They are called ethnic group. So Sri Lankans and we are also having the same ethnicity and cultural, political relations from way back. From 10th century, I think Mahendra of Sri Lanka got divided by Mahendra Varma got defeated by Rajaraja Chola. Got it? So that is the time actually is in south of India. Yeah. Teardrop of Indian Ocean is called what is called teardrop of an island near in south of India, southeast of India. That is called as teardrop of Indian Ocean. That is nothing but Ceylon or Sri Lanka. And almost all we were colonized by Britain. Both even India, when India got colonized, automatically India got colonized by Britain. Automatically Britain got colonized, even Sri Lanka also. And we both got almost independence with the difference of a year. India got it in 1947 and Sri Lanka got its liberation by the next year, 1948 and so on. Or 1848 it got colonized by British. And around 1950s, that is after our independence, they also got independent. Britain gave its independence. Okay, right. This is Sri Lanka. Actual problem is because of Tamilians. Why? Because that we shared common culture and most of the Tamilians went and settled down in, even Telugus also there in Sri Lanka who are settled even now also. And Telugus and Tamilians went to many parts in the southeast, Malaysia, Singapore, Cambodia, Philippines. In this way, many places we see identity of Telugus and Tamilians now. In Malaysia, almost along with majority Muslims, there are Tamilians also there in Malaysia, Singapore. So that's how the migration happened in the wake of livelihood centuries back. They settled over there, mostly in the northern part of Sri Lanka, like Trincomalee, Jaffna. If you see, map, Sri Lankan map, you can see Trincomalee, Jaffna, Olipanta Pass. So there in that region, Tamilians were more in number. After that, Sri Lanka got an independence. Their majority people are Simhadis. What are they? Simhadis, who speak Simhada language. Simhadis. So these Simhadis did not Simhadis did not consider Tamilians as citizens of Sri Lanka, and that's why they did not give political rights of right to vote or right to contest in election to Tamilians. More, they declared Simhada language as official language of Sri Lankans. And Tamilians are such fond of their language, even they are ready to die, but they will never permit others stopping their them speaking their language, their mother tongue. So there was agitation from Sri Lankans, Tamilians in Sri Lanka. When Tamilians started demanding political rights, that is right to contest in the election, right to have their mother tongue, and Simhada government, instead of honoring their demands, started a repression by using police and harassing, torturing these people who are demanding and so on. So at this time of friction between these Tamil people demanding for their rights and the Sri Lankan government trying to suppress them, unable to bear this suppression, they picked the path of terrorism to certain Tamilians. And they floated an organization called Balasingam, Padmanabha and so on. They floated an organization called LTTE. LTTE. Terrorist organization, very deadly terrorist organization. Liberation, Tigers of Tamil Eelam. Tamil Eelam means kingdom or state. Tamil Eelam. Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam was the terrorist organization that was floated by Tamilians staying in northern part of Sri Lanka, they are majority in northern part of Sri Lanka, demanding their political rights and also they demanding honor to respect to their mother tongue. And when they asked for that, the government started using its forces, and as a repulsion, as opposition, these people took the path of terrorism, LTT, and they started causing a big violence in Sri Lanka. They killed many people. Even one of the Premadasa, one of the president of Sri Lanka was also killed by this LTTE terrorists. Even Rajiv Gandhi was also killed by this LTTE terrorists. You may get a doubt why Rajiv Gandhi got killed. Actually, it is there in 19th chapter, but still I make you clear now. Rajiv Gandhi sent, Sri Lanka is always saying that these LTTE fellows are getting good support from India. Indian government only interfering in internal aspects and creating this all disturbance and nonsense. Because of the backdoor support of India, this is all happening is the allegation made by Sri Lanka. The relations between India and Sri Lanka were very worst when this, terrorist activities are going on in Sri Lanka. Of course, to be frank, it is popularly said that some Tamil parties like DMK, IDMK are very strongly at the back of this LTTE. They funded, they say, people say. I did not see with my eye, but there is a popular saying that they funded, that funds are there, but this what Sri Lanka funded, without the support of the Indian government, they can't do that. And the Tamilians can't get the support. So that's why they suspected Indian governments, whatever came to power, and they carried a bitter relations with India. And India was trying to carry better relations with them. But what happened, because of this, it happened. So to make it clear, Rajiv Gandhi sent in 1988 IPK of Indian Peacekeeping Force to Sri Lanka to eliminate the LTTE terrorists in Sri Lanka. What was that IPK? Indian Peacekeeping Force. And this was seen, as an act of sabotage or backstabbing by, so not sabotage, backstab, sabotage and backstabbing. There's a Deputa Ramas say sabotage or backstabbing by Tamil terrorists in that is Sri Lanka, and they planned for murder of Rajiv Gandhi and they executed. Belt bomb. A lady with a belt bomb got blasted herself, and Rajiv Gandhi was made into pieces. Then when he attended public meeting during an election campaign in 1991. So that is the story. After that, what happened? This Sri Lankan government took a stern action against the LTT troops, and they got seen the end of last terrorist, and in that process there was a huge bloodshed in Sri Lanka. Means human blood shedded like anything, because both LTT attacked the authorities, police officers, military. Mutual killing was there, and those people also killed this Tamil terrorists, Tamilians who are working under LTTE, and the leader of them, Velupillai Prabhakaran. Velupillai Prabhakaran was very popular leader of LTTE. He was killed. His 12-year-old boy also killed. 32 round bullets were there in the body of the boy. That was a thing of concern to the international human rights. So there was a big uproar at that time. Sheer violation of human rights went in Sri Lanka for a long time. But after elimination of terrorists, now Sri Lanka is a peaceful state. Of course, in the recent past, some Islamic terrorist activities took place 1 2 years back. But from that, LTT is not that active, and it is a peaceful state, and tourism and all is going well. And even it is carrying good relations with India also. This is what with the Indo-Sri Lankan relations. Tomorrow we'll come across Pakistan and Bangladesh relations with India. Right? Thank you.